Hey, all right, we're live. Awesome. All right, guys. So if you were paying attention and playing our contest, you uh, had a chance to win one of our carving kits from Bushcraft. Um, I think the next live will have an example so you guys can see what you're getting. What the value is of playing the game aside from the fact that it's fun. Um, so this is our Bushcraft A to Z series, and we are currently working on. There's light. Don't need that much. Maybe not. Give me a second. It's gonna get dark. Oh no! I can't see. I don't know what's going on. Here I am in the dark. Oh, let there be light. That's better. All right. Well, guys, if you are interested in being a part of this, all you have to do is guess in the comments or in the chat room, either one, what the next one's going to be. So we're going down A to Z, and it would be fun to see what you guys come up with. I'm not I'm not in need of subjects, but I'll make honorable mentions if one of your ideas is really good. Um, I already have my layout as shown before, and let's see what do we have today. Today is D. Today's Bushcraft letter of the day is D for distance. That was also another easy one. So distance is easy. Distance is important um, in the nautical world. You know what the horizon is. The ocean curves off, and the curvature of the Earth makes it to where you know where the curve is. I think it's 12 miles, although I could be mistaken. It's been a minute since I've had that knowledge in my brain. But distance is important for a lot of different things. If you are in a wilderness survival situation, you're at the top of the ridge of a hill or a mountain, low-lying mountainous areas. I'm not talking about, rappelling gear or Mount Vesuvius, whatever. The Appalachian Mountains here in North Georgia and all throughout the northern, going north, the oldest mountain range in the world. You can tell it because it's low. It's had a lot of erosion going on, but it's the oldest mountain range on the planet. And I don't know, but I doubt it if there's an elevation that goes to a point where you don't get trees. So I'm not talking about going above tree line. But distance is important when you're on a ridge and you're looking at the other ridge and you don't know how far away that is, because you if you think line of sight, that's wrong. You got to go down the valley in order to come back up it. We were not born with wings. Now, we were born with minds, and our minds were created wings. But we were not born with wings, and so we're not going to go from ridge to ridge, not naturally. Shoot, I totally forgot to. All right, now, wait, is this me? I need to go back. Yep, I need to swap channels. Switch account. Go to the old ways. There we go. I totally forgot to do this because I need to, and there I am, live. I need to be able to see, there we go. Nice. All right. Back to the thing. Distance is our D for bushcraft. And I want to make it absolutely terribly clear. For anyone who's not known or thought a different way or just assumed or whatnot, bushcraft is not. Bushcraft is not wilderness survival. Wilderness survival is not woodsmanship. Ancient skills are not wilderness survival. All of those things can lead to a better chance of surviving in the woods. But none of them are wilderness survival. And that's important. If you think that you are learning bushcraft and it will be enough, you're wrong. Because we're talking about circumstances and it could be circumstantial, you may be wrong. You're almost always going to be wrong. Okay. Not that bushcraft skills, not that bushcraft skills and knowledge won't help, but it's coming from a different angle. All three of those are coming from a different angle than wilderness survival comes from. So ancient skills, bushcraft, woodsmanship, which kind of is like a pseudo ancient skills, but it's not ancient. It's more of a, when you think of the eons of human life, it's not considered ancient. It's a relatively modern understanding of the woods. And I say modern, we could be talking about back in the 1910s and 20s. And that would be modern when it comes to knowledge of the wilderness or ancient skills. That being said, bushcraft, wilderness survival, ancient skills, woodsmanship, they all approach the same thing from different angles. Wilderness survival, get out. Do what you got to do in order to be found so that you can come back to society. Woodsmanship, bushcraft, and ancient skills are all things that you can practice in your backyard if you have one big enough in some wild spaces. Just creating a situation where bushcraft is important enough, or woodsmanship, or ancient skills, where you learn them, you become more independent when you go back into the modern world, because there's a back area of your brain that understands that you can survive. That means you don't have to work. You want to. That changes everything. All right, back to our letter. Our letter today is D, delta, for distance. Now, if you've been following along this far, it's not a hard one to look at. It wouldn't be a difficult one to guess. And I'm looking. Some of those are on my list are Um, Hard, because you don't necessarily know what letter to work with, but most of this stuff is obvious, guys. Most of our stuff is obvious. So our letter is D. We're going for distance, and that has a lot of ramifications, especially when you go into the woods and you do some bushcraft or any of that. You need to know exactly how far away in a cold environment, how far away to go from the campfire. Okay. If you're in a cold environment and you don't yet respect the fire that is created yet, it's in the growth of understanding how to make fire. One of the key points is to respect the fire. If you don't, then fire will consume you, and that's very important. So, if you're in a cold environment and you're too close to the fire, you might catch something on fire. Your jacket, your blanket, whatever it is that's too close. You may not feel it because it's actually insulating you from the fire. What you're doing is you're heating up the insulation, the clothing that we talked about in the previous one. You're heating that up, which makes it easier for your body to heat up, and in some cases it actually pushes heat into your body. But let's see here. From distance away from your campfire, distance to your water source. Think about this one for a second. If you set up camp and you set it up right next to a stream, if you are camping in the summertime and it was early in the morning, it was maybe mid morning or midday when you set up camp, you will hate yourself that night. Insects love water sources, so you don't want to camp close to a water source. You want to camp a good distance away. I think it's 30 feet, 33 feet. We like the rule of three, so we keep three in it as much as possible. So it may not have to be 33 feet, but it makes it easier to remember. And just like you are not guaranteed to die if you are without water for 3 days. You know, but that's a thing to remember as far as priorities go. You also want to be a little distant from um, you want to be distant from your waste pit. So in primitive camping, everything you need you either bring with you or you choose where you go. Well, so you're bringing everything with you, and one of those things you better bring if you're bushcrafting is a little bit of shovel, whether it's a small cold steel Spetsnaz or like the Coal Crackers Swiss shovel, trench shovel, I think it's called. Bring yourself a little shovel because you're going to have to get rid of the food you've ate. And so you want to have a distance away from your camp where that waste pit is. You also want to have some distance away from that waste pit to your water source. You don't want to put your waste pit close to your water source upstream. You don't actually want to put it downstream either, because if you're in a place where other people go camping oftentimes, it wouldn't matter whether it's upstream or downstream. Downstream will be someone. And so you want to keep it away from the stream, away from the water source, and away from you as a camping location. Distance. One of the cool things about distance is you can get this military. I think it's the Army came up with it, possibly the Green Berets. I'm not sure. Corporal's Corner. Corporal Kelly, he has a really good video on that. I'm not gonna. It's paste beads have been done to death search the word pace in the word beads, and then Corporal's Corner. He's got everything you need, because he talks about um, you do it 3 times, one in mountainous terrain or up hilly terrain, straight line, then curved. Like he gets it. He gets enough detail into it to give you the information that's useful, but doesn't go so overboard to where you've got stuff that you don't really need. Good guy, good channel. But that's really the important part of this. Is today's word is D. Today's letter is D, and it's for distance. Now, in the Woodland Warrior Protector Program, we teach martial arts from the point of view of distance being an important thing. If you think about it, during any type of encounter, physical self-defense encounter, you're going to have adrenaline pumping, which means you're going to be faster, you're going to be stronger. Now, whether you decide to use that resource at your disposal, whether you freeze and let someone hit you, or you take that adrenaline and speed and understanding of your training and actually move out of the way or do something to disrupt his attack or whatnot, that's up to you, whether you actually take advantage of the resources at your disposal. That being said, distance, timing, and angling are important in our martial arts. If you time your movement such that it matches his movement in some way, kind of feels like your body starts to fill the pockets being created by the other guy's movements, you'll find yourself safe no matter what. If you train that skill, you can be close to them distance-wise. You can be face-to-face and completely safe from someone trying to beat, break, or kill you. There's also another important part to this. I like to do things in threes. Talked earlier about threes. So martial arts is an important part of what I consider to be the trifecta of success. One of the other threes are the woodsmanship skills that we teach, which is actually part of our martial arts. In the Woodland Warrior Protector Program's got 2 sides, a warrior side and a woodland side, and students have to learn both. So if you separate that, that's 2 of them. But when you learn both of them, you actually learn another one of the trifecta of success. So you've got the wilderness survival, you've got wilderness knowledge, woodsmanship, you've got self-defense, which, if you think about it, woodsmanship is a form of self-defense. It's a form of defending yourself from the environment, from the elements, survival. So, or you can think about it in the other way around. Self-protection is a form of survival applied to a fight or a physical altercation of some kind. So they actually can go back and forth like that. But the third one that ties them all together is it ties them together and makes them more valid in your day-to-day workings, is an application to life, wisdom, intelligent working, intelligently moving through life. That's an important part too. So if you apply distance to that, take a moment to consider how important distance is to you. So you may not have heard the phrase, but there's a phrase out there. It's in the psychological world as well. Pay attention to the 5 people you spend the most time with, because those people are pretty much your makeup, your personality, your likes, your dislikes, how you see the world, things like this. Those 5 people contribute to how you operate in the world, how you see the world, and how you operate in the world. So if you count your 5 people, like if you go do the little self inventory and you count your 5 people and be like, this guy, I love him to get to death. He's been a brother from another mother for so long. We grew up together. He's amazing. He's a wonderful guy. But every time he's around, he tears me down. Like, he doesn't tear me down though. He's like, it's just the way he sees the world. It's like, it's terrible. Like this, the world's out to get him or something. And so this guy here, um, he's contributing. And so maybe I need to create some distance. I love him to death. I love him. But I can love him from a little bit of a distance for my own sake. And that's, of course, after talking to the people, and, hey, it's a lot of negativity you're bringing out here, bringing to the table. Maybe you should either transmute that or take it off the table. Those are the 3 things that are valuable in life: the ability to work with today's physics, which is, I say today's physics. What stupid. It's not today's physics. It's all of physics. So the ability to work with physics in your day-to-day life, that's bushcraft and woodsmanship. You're working with the elements of nature to bring about a mutual thriving. One example is they say in the what is it? Don't leave anything behind. No, that's not the word. What is it? Leave no trace. Leave no trace. So, in Leave No Trace, some of their paradigm. Now that was came from way back, like 70s and 80s, I think, was when that movement started picking up speed. One of the things they said was, bring whatever you bring in, pack out, and don't harm nature while you're there. Now, that's why a lot of people got away from making campfires. Instead, you've got these little stove things, and you can hook up your little backpackers has a little stove and a little fuel canister at the bottom, and cook your own. So you bring everything in, even your fuel, even your fire source, because they thought that if they made a fire, they would scorch the earth. You would deposit soot on rocks and dirt. That is correct. That's the hurt. But there's another thing, is that if you needed some wood, perhaps you were making a spoon. I have my spoon up here. I had my spoon the other day. If you were, you got your brand new knife, and you wanted to carve on a stick to create a spoon or whatever else you needed, even if it was a survival situation and you needed to make some traps and snares. You would go to a grove that had a lot of trees in that little grove, and then you would pick the weakest one. By removing the weakest one and using it for something else, it's no longer one of the things being competing for resources. That's a law of nature. Everything competes for resources. And so one way to leave the environment better off than when you found it is to remove the things that's fighting too hard. It's one of the laws of nature. This is why I like to consider what I teach with the Woodland Warriors more of a woodsmanship type thing, because the name, the label, harkens back to an earlier time in bushcraft. and has the word ship in it. So that word in the English language brings to mind almost a sense of guardianship, protectorship, these higher level thinking type things. So we can aim low and sometimes always hit our mark, or we can aim higher and get close to the mark almost every time, but 100% of the time land higher than our low score. Take a moment to think about that. There's some distance for you. Have a goal so far ahead of you that you have to become a different person to get there. The person you are now couldn't. So you have to change this. Without thinking that this isn't enough. That's the paradigm. That's the paradox. The paradox is you have to strive for more while feeling relaxed and comfortable with what you have. Now that's a hard one to get to for a lot of people. I take it from the point of view of let me respect myself more by achieving a higher goal. So that means I already respect myself. I already look at the accomplishments that I have accomplished, and we'll just keep going. And there's nothing wrong with that. So if you're on chat, let me know. I want to be able to see what's going on and what you're doing, and see how things go. Say hi. Let's see, what have I covered? Today's word was distance. So distance from the campfire, distance from your water sources, and distance from your waste pits. I spell terribly, but oh well. And we talked a little bit about paste beads. I didn't instruct anybody on how to make them. It's, if I'm not mistaken, it's a string with knots, loop knot on one side, stopper knot on the other side, and a knot in the center, or a little bit off the center. And in between the loop and the first knot are 4 beads. In between the second knot and the end knot are 9 beads. And you count them on your left, I think it's your left foot. Every time, so you start with the 9 beads, and on the 10th one, you put the 4 bead up. You put a 4th bead up, one of the 4 beads, and then you put all 9 back, and then you start again, or you start going in the opposite direction, count up to 9, and then on that 10th one, you move a second of the 4 beads up. And by the time you've gotten to the 4th bead, you move that 4th bead. That's 40 feet, 40 steps. And then you can start over. So you do that. Generally speaking, you do that with 100 meters. And that's important because you don't want to cross program. So if you're going to go by a factor of 10, which is what that 9 and 4 is, then you want to use a factor of 10 in your measurement system. So you don't go 100 yards. That's the English or the imperial system. You want to use the metric system. So 100 meters. So measure out 100 meters and then count, do the pace thing. Count how many, what that number is by the time you get to that 100th meter. Write that down on flat level surface. Do it again on an incline up. Do it again on an incline down. You can do the same one, just come back down. And get those 3 numbers and average them. And those numbers, that's your pace count. Okay, you know that that number is very close to what 100 meters is. So you couple that with your map and your compass, and you have an orienteering device situation where you can pretty much, you know where things are, how far it is to get them, how many steps it takes to get there. Base speeds. That is distance. Now, we covered quite a lot on this one. For example, we talked about the base speeds. We talked about the distance. You should not be too close to water in the summer or in the wintertime. You shouldn't be too close to your campfire because it's easy to not feel your clothing getting hot enough to burst into flames. And we talked about how you should have your waste pit a distance away from your camp and the water source. And don't get it confused. You don't want the waste pit upstream or downstream away. You need to have that waste pit at a triangulated situation where it is both distant from the water and distant from your camp. We talked about distance in life, whether you need to distance yourself from people who are giving you some negativity, or you need to bring yourself closer to someone who you think has knowledge or skills or just has a mindset that you want to be able to emulate and get more of. And the more time you're around that person, the better. So you might want to get closer. Everyone, don't ever forget to pause for the cause. And the cause is your own health. I think I've gotten everything up here as far as possible. Our next one, A, B, C, D, E, Echo. Not Echo Charles, different guy. So Echo is next. What do you think it'll be? What do you think Echo would be as far as our list that we have here? Let me see. Come on now. There we go. Yep, that was me, I bet. Where is it? Oh, not that one. Gallery. There we go. What is E? Haha! That's a good one. Also obvious. I think H is the one that hotel. H is the last one. Is the one that's not going to be as obvious. Wow, a lot of obvious ones, guys, out there. Guess. Take a guess. What's it going to hurt you? Tap it on the keyboard a few times. On this keyboard. Using your thumb a little bit more. Sorry. If it's too hard, then man. I don't know what else I could do to make a contest that's easier than this one. No. Anyway, guys, take some time out in the woods. Take some time for the people you care about. And remember that you should be one of them. If you made a list of all the people you loved, so people have a pretty big list, and I would venture to say that that list probably needs to be added to, simply because we don't know all the people that love us. If you made a list of all the people that you loved, okay, how far you down would you go before you found yourself? That's important, guys. Get lost, but never lose yourself.